Hello and welcome to Brainwaves episode 171, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. I'm Ian McAllister.
And I'm Oliver Kinner, and these are the headlines for the week of Monday, the 24th of November, 2025. Altered alters the deal. UKGE AI. Oh no! Kickstarter Union wins concessions. All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
Now, there are few amongst us who haven't overplayed a hand, talked up our achievements beyond what really happened, plumped up a CV, hoping to garner attention, kudos, and maybe a better job along the way. We also know that such actions come with a cost. Altered is a collectible card game that launched in 2024. It did so through crowdfunding, raising just over €6 million on Kickstarter, a quite impressive amount. While it hasn't made huge waves on the scene, over the last year it seemed to be well liked by its fans. Equinox, the company behind the game, did tours to promote it when the game eventually came to retail, and it has been seen in many stores across the world. As many companies do, Equinox went back to crowdfunding for some new expansions with a modest target of €50,000. They broke through this in short order, but then things took a turn for the strange. In a post on the 3rd of November, the campaign laid out where the project stands, the size of the team behind it, and the production requirements of the organisation. They then went on to say this.
All these important steps have a fixed cost, currently budgeted at €2.5 million in sales per set. This figure is a very concrete amount. It is the total required to fund a complete new set plus the operation of our ecosystem under healthy conditions, without cutting the team, quality or ambition of the game.
They do make it clear that this required amount is a total both from the campaign and pre-orders for the new sets from retailers. Answering the question, why did you set the goal in GameFound to €50,000, the company said this.
We understand why the initial €50,000 milestone, met within minutes, created the confusing impression that the campaign had already secured its necessary funding. The contrast between the initial and final €2.5 million goals unfortunately led to the perception that we were attempting to hide the true cost. We sincerely apologize for this feeling and completely validate your frustration. This €50,000 figure is a symbolic threshold, a standard crowdfunding best practice used to build early momentum and avoid discouraging backers with a seemingly unattainable final number.
They go on to explain that while they won't shut down overnight if this threshold is not reached, that it would represent an end to the altered CCG. Now, the campaign has now ended, and the total results were as follows. From GameFound, they managed to secure just under €900,000, and from retailers, €1,423,000. Equinox said this about the result.
What this means is that while we haven't reached the objective of €2.5 million mentioned initially, we're not that far off our goal, and with some adjustments on our part, which includes reviewing some budgets and determining new production processes, we believe we can cover that difference. This is the task we're tackling now, along with applying lessons learned to make Set 6 a better campaign experience.
Now, although Equinox made it clear it wasn't an ultimatum when they sort of posted this initially, it kind of felt like one to me, and it read like one to me. I personally think crowdfunding is going under some intense changes right now. People just don't have the cash to back Kickstarters. Even I was talking to a local RPG designer recently who was saying exactly the same thing. Even for small zines and RPGs and that kind of thing, they're just not seeing the influx of cash that they used to from crowdfunding and things like that. You got any thoughts on this one, Oliver?
Well, I just don't understand the 50,000 versus the 2.5 million. I mean, if that starts with half a million, right? Like 500,000, maybe you could argue, okay, we're just setting it a bit lower, but 50,000, that's like not even a percent, is it? I don't know, to do my maths here.
I'm sure they did claim at one point that GameFound kind of encouraged them to do that.
Well, I know that...
To sort of say the project has funded that kind of thing. I don't know if GameFound have responded to that.
I mean, a lot of crowdfunding campaigns sort of say we want to fund within hours. So if you can claim that, if you could have a lower funding goal, but you don't set a funding goal quite that low. I mean, that seems ridiculous unless you're absolutely sure that you're going to reach it, or at least cancel it and just go. I've seen campaigns start, with a lower figure, and then they said, look, it's not gaining the momentum. We're just going to cancel it now because we're never going to reach the actual figure that we need, and that's fine. But just sort of carrying on saying, oh, no, hang on, we need a bunch more money, guys. Come on, let's get on with it. And starting with such a low figure just seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does feel like the crowdfunding space is changing quite a lot, and we're just going to add a little addendum to this headline here as well from Steamforged Games. Now, Board Game News website Board Game Wire shared that the Steamforged Games Limited, the UK publisher that is known for board game conversions of popular computer games, and has recently started doing reprints of classics games, had received a large number of complaints about the all-in price of their latest deluxe special edition for classic Terra Mystica. Comments range from checking if the price was a misconfiguration of the pledge to calling it ridiculously offensive, absolutely insane, utterly comical, or out to lunch. One commenter said that the deluxe edition wasn't different enough to the original game to make the cost worth it for them. Another commenter compared this campaign to the deluxe editions of Agricola and Castles in Burgundy by Awakened Realms, which cost below the $200 mark. Now, the price for this deluxe edition of Terra Mystica was $389, and the company decided to drop it to $288 a mere 3 hours after launching the campaign on GameFound. Steamforged Games CEO Rich Loxham told Board Game Wire that the company had been surprised by the reaction to the original price. He said this:
"It was certainly a surprise. We'd done a fair amount of benchmarking beforehand, and while it's always difficult to compare directly because components aren't always an exact match, and campaigns vary in structure, our pricing was broadly in line with recent similar campaigns. I think a lot of it comes down to perception of value. In crowdfunding, presenting multiple smaller products can look higher value, and miniatures can also add perceived value compared to triple-layer boards, metal coins, and unique faction illustrations with the screen-printed wooden pieces. It's a subtle kind of premium that doesn't immediately have the same visual wow, but will mean a significantly improved experience on the tabletop."
I mean, it is going to be interesting to see if Steamforged can deliver this. Steamforged have had their own problems in the past delivering crowdfunding campaigns over years of delays with things like the Dark Souls game and various other things they've had issues with. Has it cut into their profits? Probably, which isn't going to be great considering the state of crowdfunding right now, global shipping and tariffs and yada, yada, yada. And, name a problem, it has hit Kickstarter and crowdfunding recently. Yeah, like these huge, gigantic editions of games that were promised to be your forever game. Who wants that? I don't want a forever game. I want games to be new and interesting all the time. I want to see the new stuff and the cool things and the little games from like small creators.
Yeah, I think the trend
is still out there and very affordable. You can go buy it right now. You can go and buy the core game and it will. There's a lot of game in that core box.
There is.
Plus all the expansions.
Yeah.
And
I think
you can probably buy all of that stuff for well below the price of things of this. Yeah.
I just think the train's left the station for these sort of deluxe editions. Simon, being our favorite example with these big miniatures and all that. How many years ago was that when they were doing well? And even recently,
interestingly, we don't actually have a Simon story this cast that we have had for the last few casts. We do not actually have a Simon update this cast.
But I don't think there is that much appetite for deluxe editions anymore. I mean, deluxe editions in the sort of simple sense, when I remember like buying deluxe editions where you got like metal coins instead of cardboard tokens or something like that, fine.
Yeah.
But these deluxe editions that are like, blown over the top. Like, there's the Castle of Burgundy. Everyone's saying, well, why do I need all this extra bits and pieces? Castle of Burgundy plays just as well, but just basic pieces,
I think the Castles of Burgundy deluxe edition with all the plastic stuff was actually like offensive.
Yeah.
Like they turned a game that was like when I don't own it anymore, but when I originally bought it was £20. You could buy Castle Burgundy, which is a absolutely revered classic by Stephen Feld, for £20, and I think the new sort of regular edition is maybe like 40.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah.
And then this gigantic plastic strewn edition, which
it's for.
It looked nicer, and like yes, some of the symbology in the original game is a bit hard to read, and yeah, absolutely, I can understand those complaints, but you do not need like a 200 or 300 pound version of it or whatever it came out at anyway. Yeah.
Do reprint if you want to correct mistakes or things that are clear,
absolutely.
But don't just add all this stuff. And then there was the suspicion about AI being used in some of these games as well, which leads me on to another story. In a Facebook post dated the 28th of October, UK Games Expo, the largest hobby games convention in the UK, promoted a game called Gates of Crystalia by Top Notch International. Alongside the advert, the post contains 3 images showing some of the art used in the game. As it turns out, the images were created using generative AI, as the game's Kickstarter page confirms.
Andrea Ruggieri is a professional graphic designer. he has strategically used artificial intelligence to generate the initial graphics, allowing for the quick creation of imaginative visuals. However, these AI-generated images serve as a starting point. Andrea will personally edit and refine each image using tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, ensuring that the final visuals meet the highest standards of quality and artistry. By combining his human creativity and graphic design expertise with the power of AI, Andrea is able to offer a product that is both innovative and polished, giving you the best of both worlds.
People soon commented on UK Games Expo's Facebook post to share their disappointment with the board game convention for promoting generative AI art. In response, UK Games Expo either hid or deleted these comments without any further response. As of the 11th of November, when we last checked, there are only 3 comments on the post, one of which is by George C. Cotronis, who says this.
AI garbage for slop enjoyers.
A number of people took to other social media platforms, including Blusky, to share what had happened and to ask UK Games Expo for an official reply. Unfortunately, at the time of recording, there still hasn't been any official response to explain what had happened, and the post is still visible. Thank you to Corey from our Discord for bringing this to our attention. So, yeah, I mean, I was thinking we're obviously not expecting UK Games expeditiously police AI in games or, publishers that attend the exhibition, but obviously when it comes to promoting specific products actively and probably getting paid for this because it's an advert, you assume that they might do something, or at the very least say, this game contains AI, given I think they should be aware how controversial generative AI is, or how big of a discussion it has caused, and the impact of generative AI on human creators and all that. So
I don't think you'd expect the convention to go through every single advert they get asked to put out and to pay for, and all their sort of paid for sort of advertising, that kind of thing. But yeah, like you say, given the nature of generative AI and how controversial it is amongst the hobby, you would think they would actually do a little bit of research. I mean, it's literally on the Kickstarter page down the bottom where it says, do you use AI in your game? Which is on every single Kickstarter project, which is a sort of source of some contention in itself, that basically creators have to volunteer that information rather than Kickstarter asking for it and saying, hey, that's a whole other cast altogether, I think. But yeah, really disappointing from UK Games Expo, especially considering the number of RPG creators they have there, small independent folk who are just doing their best with the art they have and creating some wonderful things. And then you've got this coming along, and it's and the designer himself weighed in on some of the comments, and his responses were not great. Let's put it that way.
And then hiding or deleting comments on the Facebook post. I mean, if it's an advert, make an advert.
Actively suppressing people asking questions is that's a huge no-no.
I locked the post down to start with if you don't want any comments, but it's a Facebook post, so hello, that's a social media platform. You're inviting responses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Kickstarter, though, we got some news about Kickstarter United, Ian.
Yes, back in episode 169, we brought you news that Kickstarter workers were striking over failed negotiations with Kickstarter management for better working conditions. The union, called Kickstarter United, has recently announced that the strike is at an end, with strong protections in place for the 4-day working week, setting up safeguards for workers against the use of AI to replace their roles, and improving pay equity and a minimum salary floor. The union has said that the 5-day working week can be considered but must be justified and involve bargaining with the union. One of the members, Daniel Jurado, told Rascal this.
For 42 days, we sustained a historic and novel remote strike that won protections for the working hours we've already been doing for years. Protections that continue to make Kickstarter the great place to work that we know it is. The workers fought for this victory and hope that it can inspire other workplaces and unions to not just accept the status quo, but fight for a better workplace of their own.
Kickstarter has not commented on negotiations at this time. I should make it clear that I'm a paid member of Rascal. This is behind their paywall, but it is behind their free paywall. So you just have to sign up and be a member in order to read the article. And we do recommend that you do, because Rascal do excellent work.
Yes.
Congratulations to the Kickstarter union for getting some protections for their employees.
For sure.
Great work.
Yeah.
Unions are good.
We need more like this.
Absolutely. Let's go to an update from our favourite lawsuit, Ravensburger versus Upper Deck.
Last episode, we told you that Upper Deck was trying one more time to successfully sue Ravensburger for effectively stealing the design for Disney Lorcana, Ravensburger's hugely successful collectible card games. A claim directly against the designer Ryan Miller for breach of contract was settled in Upper Deck's favor to the tune of $39,000. That is going to pale in comparison by what might happen next. Ravensburger is asking for Upper Deck to pay the $3.8 million spent in legal fees on the case. The court filing said this.
Upper Deck's case was frivolous in conception, objectively unreasonable in prosecution, and pursued in a manner that multiplied costs while consuming vast judicial resources.
Ravensburger says that Upper Deck's litigation was extremely costly, with copyright infringement claims having to be handled on 43 separate game elements, including such mechanisms as taking alternate turns. While it sounds like this is bringing things to a close, it isn't. Upper Deck plans to continue the lawsuit, this time in Europe, after filing a suit in the Netherlands. So, to quote Disney, let it go, let it go.
I mean, it is absolutely baffling. Like, to try and sue over game elements like taking alternate turns. People have tried this before. People have tried to sue Wizards of the Coast over tapping for Magic the Gathering and failed horribly. It has been proven time and time again that trying to copyright individual game elements like that does not work. And people still keep trying to do it. And if you're an indie designer putting out your first game and you want to like copyright your mechanisms, can I suggest that you do not, because it doesn't work.
The game as a whole can possibly copyright it, but even that is but just individual mechanisms to say, right, we got rolling dice and we call it something else.
As we said in the last cast, maybe Upper Deck should have put more effort into promoting Rise of Icor, which came out earlier this year. And none of us on the cast had heard about. No. I'm fairly into my CCGs and things. I've got my ear to the ground on new releases. Just didn't know it had released at all. So good job there. Yeah. Excellent work.
Great work. Now, on to the news.
On the 2nd of November, Braincrack Games, a UK games publisher behind games such as Farsight, Dead and Breakfast and Venice, announced in an Instagram post that they have closed down. According to the announcement, the business had recently started to struggle with increasing operational pressures. The statement referred to difficulties experienced during the fulfillment of Venice, which coincided with COVID and the birth of the company's owner Lewis Shaw's first child. Braincrack Games released 3 more games after Venice: Florence, The Gig, and Last Resort. Unfortunately, these games also increased financial pressure on Braincrack Games and eventually led the company into a 2-year insolvency period before the business finally closed. Many of Braincrack Games staff were able to find new roles, including one team member now working for Rebellion Unplugged, which is the board game branch of Rebellion Comics. The announcement ended with a warning to prospective business founders about the challenges of running a board game company. Now, while it's sad to see Braincrack close, it's not entirely surprising we hadn't heard from them for a while. I should make it clear that I, in the past, have received complimentary review copies of things like Farsight way back in the day from Braincrack. Jamie has backed The Gig, and we have spoken to Lewis at various conventions in the past as well. It's not the first board game company that we reported on in the last few years. It has closed since the pandemic, and given the current economic climate and companies like CMON that we mentioned earlier in the cast, we are not going to see the end of those closures for the foreseeable, unfortunately. Yeah, it's had a huge impact, and the ripple effects continue to come on down the line, as our next story will show.
On the 4th of November, Wise Wizard Games, the US publisher known for card battling game Star Realms, announced on the website an internal reorganization in response to rising production costs and unpredictable US tariffs affecting the tabletop games industry. As part of the restructure, Wise Wizard Games has cut its staff. While the company's digital development team will remain in place to continue supporting existing apps, some employees will leave the company but continue working with it as external contractors, while a number of staff will let go. It is clear that the company is focusing on its digital titles, which are unaffected by tariffs. Star Realms and Hero Realms apps continue to grow, while the Draconis 8 app will launch soon on Steam Early Access, and 2 additional titles, Caution Science and Sherlock Solitaire, are now also available on mobile. Wise Wizard Games said its small box game strategy is helping it manage increased costs, and the company continues to expand its international reach through partnerships and more localization agreements. Wise Wizard Games has begun distributing titles originally published outside the US, including Locus, which has already won 2 Toy of the Year awards in Europe, and the company reported increased sales at Origins, Gen Con, and Essen Spiel. Debbie Monahan, Chief Operating Officer at Wise Wizard Games, finished the post with the following note.
We've poured our hearts and souls into Wise Wizard Games for over a decade. We know this transition is hard and we're sorry for the delays and disruptions, but we're optimistic about the road ahead. We're so grateful for your patience, your encouragement, and your belief in our games. Thanks for sticking with us.
Of course, the whole Brainwaves team hopes that those who lost their jobs will find new employment very soon. Well, I was going to say earlier with the previous story that Braincrack, sounds like it's wound down sort of quite slowly and carefully, and a lot of people found new jobs, which is great to see. In this case, it feels possibly a bit more haphazard. I don't know, but certainly they're focusing now on the digital side because you don't need to ship stuff that's digital from China. So no tariffs and things.
It felt to me, the announcement reads a little strange, and I do recommend you go and read it, folks, because it feels like they really bury the foreign announcement kind of in the middle of that announcement. It's just kind of sort of, it's a paragraph where like, we're letting some people go, and then they move on. And it's can you do a little bit better by the folks that you're letting go? That'd be great.
Yeah, they're trying to hide it a bit. But we shall see what happens next, and when we find out, we'll let you know. In the interim, you got some news from Asmodee, Iain.
Yeah, just a quick one here, folks, on Asmodee's interim report. On the 20th of November, Asmodee, the worldwide tabletop gaming giant, shared its interim report with investors. The report covers the time period from April to September 2025, and in short, the figures are looking pretty good. Net sales amounted to €752.4 million, an increase of 25%, of which about 25% of that was organic growth. The increase was in part due to the number of games published by Asmodee Studios going up by about 2.5%, and those games published by partners going up by 39%. The EBITDA, which is the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, which is a figure used to show companies' performance for the interim report period, was €116 million. Now, just for transparency, we just need to mention that Oliver has done paid work for Asmodee in the past. Asmodee is still growing. That's an impressive figure for Asmodee, but I mean, they are the biggest games company in the world. And they're on a buying spree, as we've covered in the last couple of casts as well. They're picking up new studios, despite being saddled with lots of debt by Embracer. It doesn't seem to be doing them any harm.
Despite the debt, they're doing well, and that equates to about like €20 million a month of EBITDA.
Yeah.
Which is obviously before taxes and depreciation. So it doesn't mean they've actually made a profit necessarily, but it still, shows that they're bringing money in, and cash flow is always important. So nice to see.
Absolutely. Now, so a little bit of hacking to finish off our news.
Yeah, something that's not quite so nice to see is that on the 18th of November, Bezier Games, the US board game publisher known for games such as Ultimate Werewolf, Suburbia, and Castles of Mad King Ludwig, announced in a post on Blusky and other social media platforms that several of their online accounts, including those belonging to the company's founder and CEO Ted Alsbach, had been hacked. According to the statement, in the early hours of Sunday, the 16th of November, cybercriminals used the hacked accounts to post hate messages on, X now, I would still call it Twitter, using Ted's account. We were unable to find any of these messages ourselves, as they've been quickly deleted by the company once the cyber attack had been identified. Bezier Games' statement finishes as follows.
These abhorrent messages on X in no way reflect the views or opinions of Ted Alsbach, Bezier Games, or any member of the Bezier Games team. We deeply apologise to anyone who is hurt or offended by these messages. I mean, I think the big lesson here is like if you're following someone that you seem to know relatively well in terms of like their political stances and that kind of thing, and suddenly their account goes absolutely crazy. Maybe don't jump to conclusions. I mean, sometimes that conclusion is, wow, they've been hiding themselves a little bit, but sometimes, accounts get hacked. It does happen.
Yeah.
And especially on X, which has become a horrible Nazi troll site. Get off X if you're still on it. Why are you on it still? Stop being on X. It's horrible.
Please do.
Yeah. Now, let's go to our message board for some jobs, opportunities, events.
Yes, as always, I want to point you to the Tabletop Jobs group on Facebook. As always, there's lots of jobs there, great work. I see pretty much daily something being posted, whether it's Hasbro Games Workshop and some of the bigger names, Asmodee. Obviously, quite a few things around the exhibition time, asking for people to demo on stands and to help out on stands.
Yeah.
But you have a look on there. There's always something available. Quite interesting.
Yeah, lots of full-time jobs as well across the world and by various companies. Yeah, lots of things.
So, so again, not just the US either. Quite a few UK jobs and all that. So, yeah, have a look around. The other thing I want to mention, the Tabletop Games blog raffle in aid of the Trussell Trust, or that's a charity that supports UK food banks, is back. It's the winter raffle. Tickets are still £1, and there are, again, bundles available. So buy 4 tickets, get 1 free and stuff like that. This time, the main prize is a copy of AR Children of the Sun by Osprey Games. The second prize is a games bundle consisting of Bad Trevor, Isle of Night from Red Raven Games, and Club of Cthulhu from Play With Us Design. Some of these games were played, their review copies. Bad Trevor is actually brand new and still in shrink. But yeah, those that have been played, obviously, I've looked after very well. They're in very good condition. So please support that. UK shipping is included in that. I'll cover that. Other destinations, unfortunately, have to ask the winner of the prize to pay, depending. But these days can be quite expensive. Of course, all proceeds minus fees go directly to Trussell, whose work is so important, especially now that the weather's getting colder again. If you want to find out more, go to tabletopgamesblog.com/raffle.
And I'd just like to take a moment to give a big shout out to our patrons. Thank you so much for continuing to support the cast and site, especially our executive producers, Kevin Bertram from Fourth Circle Games, James Naylor from Naylor Games, and Shaun Newman from the Gamelot team. You can join them from only $1 a month on our site. You can also sign up free as well on the Patreon, and I've been putting out a newsletter. It's a new format I'm trying. Just to sort of sum up what I've been playing over the month, other creators and writers and filmmakers and podcasts that I think you should check out, that kind of thing. So yeah, do sign up for free if you want that information.
It's a good one. Sign up if you can.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope people are enjoying it. It's a new thing I'm trying out. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to continue over the next year or so. Now, usually we have a hilarious outro of some description, some sort of Monopoly information or something like that. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. Over the last year or so, I have been pivoting a little bit in how I write. I've obviously picked up work writing for a Tabletop Game magazine, which is a little bit of paid writing, which has been very nice. And I've been pivoting a little bit towards RPGs and that kind of thing. And I've also starred other casts as well. Obviously, I had Call of the Old over the last couple of years. I've just starred White Vikings, which is a sort of Tabletop Games agony aunt column kind of thing that I'm doing with Ava Foxford and Tim Clare. And Brainwaves has started to become a little bit of a chore, to be honest. Like, it takes a lot of work between Oliver, Jamie, and I to put the thing together. It takes a lot of time to write our cast notes, and obviously we have to actually record it, and then I edit it. It's a lot of time. And over the last year or so, I've been thinking about bringing it to an end. We started Brainwaves 7 years ago in 2018. I just looked that up. I couldn't quite remember exactly which year we started in, but yeah, 2018 was when we first put out. 1st of April 2018, and this has not been a gigantically long April Fool's gag. We have done 171 episodes as of this cast. But before the end of the year, we're going to wrap things up with Brainwaves. We'll be probably doing one more actual cast, one more actual sort of newscast, and then we're going to do an interview show, probably with Richard from We're Not Wizards, interviewing us about the last few years. We're hoping to bring back previous co-hosts, Ian Chandler and Samuel Maggs. Sam helped us out in the early days of the cast. If you've only been listening recently, Sam will not be a name you recognize at all, but he used to do all our editing, and a lot of the sound effects and that kind of thing you hear in Brainwaves are his work. So we're hoping to bring everyone together for a sort of final interview cast, either at the end of this year or at the start of next. I'd like to thank everyone who's been on the cast. Oliver, who joined us in the last couple of years to help us out, has been fantastic. Jamie has been a stalwart companion. He couldn't be with us tonight, unfortunately. He has been beside me all the way for the last 7 years, while we have done this strange cast of like reporting on the tabletop news. Partly I'm doing it because it's become a chore, partly because I feel like other sites are doing the job better than us now. We have Board Game Wire, who are reporting regularly on the board game news. We have Rascal, who are doing fantastic work in the RPG space, and they are expanding all the time to cover miniatures and some board gaming stuff as well. So there are other sites that are doing the sort of thing we do, but better. And a lot of the time we are sort of, we're a digest. We've sort of like become a digest over the last sort of year or so. And it's felt to me like we're treading water a little bit and we haven't been doing like the best work we could have been doing. And I like to do the best work we can. So I think we should end it before it becomes dross, for want of a better word, before we're just like putting something out because we're putting it out rather than because we actually believe in it and because it's something we want to do. I will probably still continue to cover the news in some way on the Giant Brain site, whether that's as part of the newsletter that I'm putting out now, like just sort of summing up what's going on in the tabletop gaming world. I do want to still cover it a little bit. Our Discord will still cover it as well, but the podcast as it stands is going to end. I've already told our patrons and the Discord that this is going to happen before this cast go out. This cast is obviously recording on Friday the 21st. I'm going to tell our patrons and Discord members over the coming weekend before the cast goes out on Monday the 24th. But yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone for listening over the last sort of 7 years. I never thought we'd get to this number of episodes. I wasn't even sure it would last a year when we first started out. It was a mad idea I had to like do a new show. And we're still doing it 7 years later, but all good things must come to an end, as Star Trek would tell us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's time to bring an end to it. It'll be sad, but I want to move on. I want to do other things with my time. And I don't want to make other people do that work for me as well, like Oliver and Jamie. So yeah, it's time to bring it to an end. It
is sad news, but as you say, you want to finish at the right time. You don't want to become...
Yeah, you want to finish on a high.
Yeah, exactly. And you've done great work, and as I say, it'd be good to see the news still somewhere in some format. I mean, as I say, Board Game Wire is great. I don't follow Rascal because RPG isn't quite my thing, but there is other stuff out there, and they're doing great journalistic work. And I think that's what we've been trying to aspire with this. But you need a lot of time to do the research, do interviews, look into things, and we just don't have that. So it's great to see, have updates, and I think it's still good that you're thinking about doing that, so people can still see the latest Asmodee interim report and stuff like that. But that'd be good. Yeah, I would like to still cover stuff. I'll probably on my social media and that kind of thing, I'll be sharing more news and that kind of thing as I sort of transition to more written format of that. But yeah, as a format, Brainwaves is going to come to an end. I still have the hosting for Podbean until next September. So the cast will still be around on Podbean. After that point, I'll switch to some form of free hosting. I don't know what that is yet, but the cast will still be around. You can still listen to some of our interviews and that kind of thing. And I might still put out some casts on the site or interviews with people that I find really interesting. That kind of thing. Move back to that sort of format. I haven't quite decided yet really what I'm going to be doing over 2026 in terms of writing. Obviously, folk have seen that be writing less on the site because I've had more commitments to like Tabletop Gaming Magazine and other places over the last couple of months. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back to doing a bit more writing. I've got a few pieces in the hopper that'll be out over the next month or so. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, everyone. It's been a wild ride. It's been a long time coming. But yeah, it's been good. It's time to but it's time to bring it to an end and end on a high before I'm just bored putting it out. And that you don't want to be doing that. Yeah, we always said when we started this with Sam, Jamie, and I, we're like, if it stops being fun, we'd stop doing it. Yeah, because that's a good attitude. Like, we're not getting paid for this in a way that matters to our financial stability. We get paid by our patrons to like host, and that's wonderful. And we absolutely respect that. But none of us are making a living doing this at all. Shockingly enough. Covering tabletop gaming news is not an earner. What? Who knew? I know. Crazy. Anyway, folks, so we'll have one more actual cast, and then we'll have an interview cast. Well, one more actual cast will go out in the next sort of 2-3 weeks as usual, and then we'll announce when the sort of special interview cast goes out, when we can sort of sort out a time with all the hosts and Richard to make that happen. Yeah. We're not going to do the promotion stuff. Just thanks very much for listening, folks.
Big love to you all.
You can still leave
Been a wild
5
ride.
stars on your favourite podcast platform choice anyway.
Absolutely. Still leave us a
say
rating because we just love to see ratings go up. We all love to see the numbers go up. But yeah, there'll be one more cast in December and then our interview cast, and then we'll be done. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Bye.